And it's not because of what you hear say about, Russian troops or anything else, because Russian fleet was there for 300 years. Even my friend, Secretary of State of the United States, I spent 30 years dealing with Americans before I was posted here. Even my friend John Kerry said, that according to the treaty that we have with Ukraine, we're allowed 25,000 troops there in Crimea. And it's only below 20 right now. So it's very hard to say that we invaded or occupied anything. People there want to return back home after all these 60 years imposed by communist oppression in the Soviet Union. They remember their roots and they remember their history. If you don't believe me, if you don't believe Putin, whom you demonize and vilify, read Leo Tolstoy. He wasn't a communist, he isn't, a paid Soviet propaganda hack. He's a famous writer whom everybody respects. Read his Sebastopol stories. He was a war correspondent, and you will understand that the land is Crimea is soaked with Russian blood. It's not just any place somewhere. It's not like, Falklands or stuff like that. It's part of our history. And I hope that this drama, all this, crying matches between politicians, will lead to one positive result. People will try to find out what it is really that binds Russians and Ukrainians, and what can be done for all of us, not to try to pit Kiev against Moscow, but to restore stability so that Ukraine can happily live in, integration with European Union, and at the same time restore its traditional, cultural, and other ties with Russia. Yes, please. I am sorry for being long-winded, but it's a unique opportunity to talk with you guys not in sound bites, but to try to tell you something intelligible. Yes, my old friend, I can't ignore it, even if I wanted. Bob, step aside, don't be too shy. We want to see your face. You see mine, I want to see yours.
Mr. Ambassador, could you tell us what happened with the Russian diplomat that was stabbed by a military terrorist and he was sent home to Russia?
You let me down because I hoped it would be the first question. Okay. I'm getting older. I'm not as quick on the uptake. Well, first of all, thank you for the sympathy. The other day I got a frantic call from my grandson in Moscow, who is 12 years old, and he believes everything he reads in newspapers. And he asked me, "Granddad, what did they do to you?" And immediately I said, "Laddie, I'm all right. I'm in one piece, but being a diplomat is a dangerous profession sometimes. Under the circumstances of hysteria around Russians and Russia and everything, anything can happen, so I hope you will become a lawyer or a dentist." And it wasn't just a 12-year-old. One of your colleagues, a famous anchorman here, also called me and asked me whether I was still alive. And you see, that was one of the reasons that I decided to have this press conference right now, for you to understand that I'm in one piece. As to our guy, thanks God he is safely in Moscow hospital right now, recovering from his many wounds. And I know that the suspect is on bail. I was guaranteed that justice will be done by your authorities. Immediately I received the call. I didn't know all the details about the accident when I received a call from your authorities who asked me to convey to Moscow that it has nothing to do with all this tension, with all this name-calling about, Ukraine and everything else. I made note of it, though I have my doubts, because several days ago, we were warned by RCMP, and I have some very good friends there, who warned us that we are in real danger, and that they will take good care of us. Again, your foreign minister is on record saying that your country is a civilized one, you will stick to Vienna Convention protecting diplomats. I hope this will be the case. And of course, we will be waiting for the outcome of this investigation. I told your Minister of Foreign Affairs that we will cooperate fully to come to the bottom of it. But I also want to use this opportunity to appeal to you, my friends from press. Try and be responsible in what you write, because it can be very inciting for some people. And I remember what one of my friends from the press told me, that pen sometimes can be as deadly as a knife.
So this wasn't a Russian intelligence operation? They were trying to get signals of a person to help spy or anything like that?
If you want a story, go to your police. They will tell you everything there. This gentleman who attacked our guy lived in the same house with him, and that's why I felt it was very important when I learned that he is going out on bail to send my guy to the hospital to Moscow immediately. I can't risk his life twice.
Do you think he'll come back to press charges or attend a trial?
I would strongly suggest against that, especially since now he is recovering in the hospital, and I don't know, he received more than 10 wounds, and people who said there was a fight. It's not my concept in the fight, because he was stabbed in the back.
But what was the motive?
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I had a very, detailed discussion with your authorities, who tried hard to persuade me it has nothing to do with this, unnatural atmosphere created around Russia and Russians here. I can give you one example. I'm not a mean guy, but I have to take care of my own. In Toronto, they posted such photographs. And the guy here is our consul general. It's in Russian, and it says, smash his face. And when I have such photographs, of course, I have to be extra vigilant. And if you talk with my colleagues, they will tell you that every briefing I have with them, I start not with disarmament or, sanctions. I start with them having to be very cautious and vigilant. Of course, it's not exactly to my liking, because I want young people to trust Canadians, to go out, to establish relationship, but I can't risk their security. I'm sorry.
Did you talk to your gentleman, and if so, what did he say? What was his explanation for what happened?
Well, he didn't understand why he was suddenly and violently attacked. He doesn't even speak English. So there couldn't be any, discussion or debate or anything. That's the problem.
So you don't think it's related to the conflict then?
I don't know. I don't know.
So when you tell
Being an ambassador for 11 years here and spending all my life in the diplomatic service and facing a lot of crises, and a lot of, incidents. I always keep my mind open. Of course, again, I noted what your minister said, what his deputy said to me, and I told them that I will hold Canadian authorities accountable for whatever happened or may happen to my people here, because it's a civilized country. We are not, in Libya. But my mind is open.
Are you taking any extra security precautions based on what the RCMP told you? Are you fearing your safety at all?
Well, we have a sufficient security for normal civilized country. Of course, if we are attacked by some bunch of extremists, I don't think anything we have will make it foolproof. I personally don't have any security whatsoever, unlike many ambassadors here. I live in a residence alone with my wife, and everybody knows where it is. There's a flag in front of him, but I'm too old to be afraid of anything. But of course I have to take care of the people who work for me, and I will.
Ambassador, can I ask you on Ukraine again?
Yes,
There's
please.
some talk about the possibility of Russia being expelled from the G8, and I'm wondering if you're concerned about that. Also, Prime Minister Stephen Harper will be going to Ukraine in the coming days. What do you think about that visit?
You should ask him. Well, I think he has every right to go anywhere he wants. My only question in my mind, will it help final, calming down and stabilization in Ukraine? Or will it egg on radicals that would like nothing better than to prolong and intensify confrontation with Russia? That's my only question, because I always proceed from common sense. For 11 years here, thanks to my certain experience, I never received, strict instructions, what to do, what to tell you. So I have to proceed from common sense. That's why I hope that his visit there will help to find a solution around Ukraine and not wipe out hysteria about Russian aggression, comparison with Nazi Germany and so on and so forth. That's my hope. My hope, but what will happen, I don't know. What was the first part of you? On the G8, I am a very selfish guy. And it was my assignment back in 1997 to create a miracle, to turn G7 plus 1 into G8. I had a special, commandment from then President Putin to Mamedov to make G7 into G8 in 3 months. Because, bosses are sometimes very impatient. And I'm happy to report to you that I cut a deal with President Clinton. And when we arrived in Denver, there were placards all over the place, the posters saying, "Welcome to G8." So I personally will feel sorry. But as my analysts tell me, there is G20 that is becoming probably more important than G8 right now, so we can survive.